Alright folks, I'm going to sit here and drink my IPA while I watch the rest of this auction and spiel a little bit about it if anybody's interested. So if you're interested, cool, listen. If not, skip ahead to some point in the future, and there's guaranteed to be something cool at the end. Now we're going to watch this thing count itself down and find out exactly how high it is going to go, but regardless of how you feel about spending $2.5 million on a comic book, it's clearly a historic piece. Only 200,000 of these were even printed, and between the kids reading them and passing them around because it was really popular, and the books being recycled for the war effort, there's only 50 or 100 of these left, and most of the ones that are submitted for grading tend to be they're restored. So this one is an unrestored. It's very rare. One of the top 3 highest grade of these in the entire world. This particular copy is a newly graded copy. Before it came along, there was only one that was this fine. Now, if you're not a big collector, or if you just don't even know what this grading thing means, basically there's companies that you can send in your items, collectibles, whether they're tickets or cards, coins, anything, to a third-party company, and they'll grade them. For comic books, it's a 10-point scale, so this is a 9 out of 10. But these grading companies, they help the common collectors like me join in the fun without having to learn all the minutiae of grading. And then they also provide a census or a population report, so you can actually know exactly how rare a particular item might be. The current owner and the fortunate seller of this auction here is a well-known comic book dealer named Darren Adams. He's got a shop called Pristine Comics, and apparently it was originally owned by an older dude in the Virginia mountains, and he kept it in a cedar chest. So basically, you know, in that chest it was kept cool and dark and dry, and in the high altitude it had a relatively low amount of oxygen. So it stayed in almost perfect condition until it could be discovered by a series of collectors, and it ended with Adams. So the cool thing about this auction is that he started it at 99 cents, and it went for 10 days, and it ends in a short while with no reserve. So the highest bidder takes it no matter what. I think that's pretty cool. That's the way auctions are supposed to go. Oh, and this is pretty cool. As you can see here, they're going to give 1% of the final sale price to the Christopher and Dana Reeve Foundation, which presumably will go to help victims of equestrian disasters or former one-hit movie wonders who end up quadriplegic. I'm not sure which, but that's very nice of them. Alright, we've had a good look at the whole listing here, and we've talked a little bit about the item. So let's go ahead and alakazam ourselves to the last 10 minutes and see how this ends. Alright, we've got about 10 minutes left in this landmark auction, I guess you could call it, for one of the 2 finest graded ever copies of the Action Comics first issue, which that's of course where the world was introduced to Superman. So you know, it's called the Holy Grail of the Golden Age comics, or all comics, and right now at a shade over 2.4 million, it's already the world record holder for the highest priced comic book ever sold. So the question now is just how high will the bar be set for these things? I'm really eager to find out. I was curious about this whole thing, so I did a little bit of research, and aside from introducing us to Superman and setting the stage for generations worth of superheroes to come, the comic book in and of itself, the Action Comics #1, is sort of a mythical comic. It always comes with stories. There used to be only one Action 1 that was graded 9.0, and Nicolas Cage owned it, the actor. Someone stole his copy in 2000, but in 2011 the cops in LA found it in a storage unit, which incidentally my dad happens to own storage facilities. I wish I could keep that stuff, but so he got his back, and they're making a movie about that whole caper, and I'd love to see it as long as Nick Cage isn't actually cast in it. Then of course there's the legendary Edgar Church copy, which that one's held by a private collector known as the Dentist, which I think you got to be a pretty badass dentist to just be known as the Dentist. Supposedly that one's even better than the copy that is being sold here. It's even been said that that one will grade to a 9.4, which is significantly higher than a 9.0. It's not just 0.4 higher. It's like, exponential. So you can only imagine what that one would sell for. And the owner of that one has refused to have it graded for decades, which, that's common with the hardcore kind of old school purist collectors. It's said also that he only paid $25,000 for it. So that dentist made a good investment. But my favorite story regarding an Action Comics find is about the family that found one while they were packing up their home. They were moving out because the bank was foreclosing. So while they're looking through all their belongings, they come across an Action Comics #1. They have it graded, put it up for auction, and they come up with enough money to save their house, which, I think that's a huge win. That's a great story. I have to say, I was a little surprised to see this was listed on eBay and not something like, Sotheby's, or, for a collectible, more likely it would be Heritage Auctions or Comic Connect. But as much as I have issues with eBay from time to time and rail against them also, this actually I think is a cool venue for this particular auction. It's public, we get to all watch it, and I think there's a shift happening in a lot of these auction houses where, Heritage charges 19.5% to the buyer. So if you were to buy it for $1 million, you actually have to give them an extra $195,000 for their trouble. And then they'll usually take 10% from the seller as well. Although, if it's something of this magnitude, they're going to probably give him a break. But same with Sotheby's, same with, any of the major auction houses. Somebody pays a pretty penny. Comic Connect, there's no buyer premium, so could have been listed there, but eBay, I think he pays $200, so that's not bad at all. And this shift is something that's been made possible by third-party grading companies who have made it. I can go online, I can look through eBay, and as long as I have faith that the grading company is reputable, then I know that if I buy a 9.0 graded comic, that it's going to be that level of quality. So I think that's helped to shift the need for as much provenance, and the auction houses were being paid for a service, but those services are being less and less required and being replaced by new ideas and new technologies. Well, I've pretty much covered the basics, and I've got links in the description if you're interested in finding out more about this particular comic book, or about the Action Comics #1 history in general. But this is about the auction. Let's skip to the end and see what actually happens. Whoa, bid just came in, but it didn't change, so it must have been the high bidder. Whoa, okay, bid came in and it just went up almost $200,000, so that's a big hitter coming out. Who's this? Alright, now it looks like we don't have any new bidders. They're all the same that have been there before. We had 12 bidders that have been in it for a while. And wow, $2.6 million. Everyone on here has been pre-approved for bidding. You have to get pre-approved to bid. Here it comes. Down to the last 30 seconds. I don't know if anybody would want to snipe on this one. Oh my god, it's going up by 100 G's at a time. 100 G's, oh my god. Final 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5. Where's the snipers? Come on, snipe. Snipe it! Ah! $3.2 million! Woo! Damn! Oh no, what happened? It lost it. There it is. This comic book just sold on the internet for $3,207,000. Yeah, it went up $1 million in the last 2 hours.
We can pay off our house for the amount it went up in the last. It's a comic. It's the first comic book that Superman ever showed up in.
So, you know, it's like worth it.